The Tim Burton days of Batman. A simpler time where there was no hockey pads, no bad puns, and certainly no bat nipples.
Frankly, I cringe.
They were days where all Gotham had to worry about was Danny DeVito terrorizing Christopher Walken with an insane clown posse. Like I said, simpler times. Batman Returns introduced Michelle Pfeiffer as Selina Kyle. Her leather-clad portrayal of Catwoman proved to be so alluring that most future live-action adaptations featured the character. So, to say we were excited for the original to potentially return is a ferocious understatement. Now, right off the bat, let's clear up some confusion that some of you may have over why Michelle would return to a role in a universe that's seemingly dead. The upcoming Flash film has been stuck in the Speed Force for a number of years, with a total of 5 different directors attached to the film at various points since 2015. Now that IT director Andy Muschietti is officially signed on and pre-production is currently underway, we have some ideas of what to expect in the film. In concept, the movie is going to follow the Flashpoint Paradox, where Barry Allen will mess with the timeline, probably by saving his mother, leading to life-altering changes like the conversion of the Tim Burton Batman verse, as it has been announced that Michael Keaton will be returning as Bruce Wayne.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
As a Flash fan, news that we are going to see Flash faithfully adapted with CGI that's better than this is certainly appreciated. But the concept of the Tim Burton verse being revisited is just as exciting. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne doesn't actually have many allies to flesh out his world, so it would make perfect sense to bring back one of his femme fatales as a supporting character. So what role does Catwoman even play in the Burton verse? In Batman Returns, we see a, well, I'll say strange origin story for Selina Kyle, which forced her to team up with Batman to stop her murderer Shrek. Watching the movie, you may notice that Batman kind of takes a backseat in this one with a lot less screen time. This is in favor of telling Selina Kyle's story. The movie infamously went out of their way to include a post-credit type stinger where Catwoman is perched on a rooftop, watching the bat signal to show that Catwoman was still perusing the streets of Gotham. The shot is quite simple, but it ended up costing Warner Brothers $250,000 to add. They did this as they were setting up a Catwoman solo flick for Michelle Pfeiffer. They needed to film this scene last minute with only a weekend to actually get it in the film. A turnaround time so tight that Michelle Pfeiffer couldn't actually show up for filming, hence why you only see the back of the character's head. It seems that Tim Burton had full creative control over Batman Returns, as it is equal parts erotic as it is bloody and dark. At the time, Burton seemed to be able to do no wrong, having back-to-back hits in his young career with The Batman, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands. After Warner Brothers saw the finished nightmare-inducing product that was Batman Returns, they decided to take the series in a different direction, which history proved to be a lot worse.
That's just what I said.
A casualty of deciding to move on from Burton was the Catwoman solo flick, which Burton was set to direct. All hope had been seemingly lost for Michelle Pfeiffer to once again don her leather-clad catsuit, until recently in an interview with Screen Rant, where in reference if she would reunite with Keaton, she stated, "I would if anyone asked me, but no one's asked me yet." So we know Michelle is down to return, but how can she? Would it be like Linda Carter's return in Wonder Woman 1984, where she portrayed a different character entirely? What can she bring to the table in a movie that's supposed to revolve around the Flash? Everyone is quick to judge just how many live-action Batman we've gotten over the years, yet no one ever mentions how we've had almost just as many Catwoman adaptations. In the Adam West series, we see a Catwoman with little backstory and a high thirst for crime. Then we had Michelle's performance. Then we had Halle Berry. And you know what? We really don't need to talk about this one. We saw Anne Hathaway add a certain poise to the role, leading to her being Christian Bale's endgame, causing him to give up his caped crusading career and move to Paris. In Gotham, we saw a young Selina Kyle be a friend to Bruce. The old saying that cats have 9 lives seems to be true, as even in the upcoming Robert Pattinson movie, Zoe Kravitz is set to take over the whip, although not much is known about her role just yet. The common theme behind all Selina Kyle performances is while she generally ends up doing the right thing, she will always add a rebellious scratch while flirting with the Dark Knight. So where would this Catwoman be 30 years after we last saw her? I would think that this time around they would subvert expectations and not have Bruce end up with her. While Batman Returns featured a whole lot of teasing between the pair, they never actually ended up doing anything with one another, and I could see that being an aspect they play with in the film. Instead of settling down with Keaton's Bruce, I could see her being as rebellious and still toying with Bruce after all these years. I'd venture to say that a Catwoman in her 60s would be more of a confidant for Bruce. Someone who had been in the game for a lifetime and could provide advice and a slightly askew moral compass.
My plan was to die before the money ran out, but I kept and keep not dying, and...
While still being able to kick butt alongside Keaton, we've certainly seen Michelle do some action choreography recently through the Ant-Man films. I wouldn't expect the role to be massive, but it would be a nice little addition to Team Flash, as Ezra's interpretation doesn't have Cisco or Killer Frost to help him in the inevitable hallway fight. It would also help out the Burton verse, as pretty much every other character in it has died. With all this Batman Returns talk, I can't put into words how badly I want Danny DeVito's Penguin to return. He was just galaxy brain level casting for the role, and he's one of the few actors whose age I think would aid in his performance. Since he is yet to return to the comic book film world, a Penguin revival would surely give me some happy feet.